Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to Christmas in Arkham 2023. After the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament, we have our opponent for Christmas in Arkham for this year's campaign, and we'll meet him later in the video. To remind you of all the high-level rules, we're going to play Eldritch Horror, Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, and Elder Sign as a mini-campaign. If we win each game, we'll start the next game with an extra item. But if we lose, we'll start the next game down 1 health and 1 sanity. There's more to the campaign than that, but that's the high-level view. This video is primarily going to focus on meeting the investigators, and as usual, we're going to tell a small story, so let's go meet our first investigators. It had been a little less than 2 months since Mandy Thompson and Jacqueline Fine had been defeated in their final confrontation with Hastur in Lost Carcosa. The twin suns hung over Lake Holly as an oppressive sign of their failure. Lost Carcosa was now one with their world, but they'd learned to navigate their new world. The yellow sign was everywhere in the world, and no matter how they tried to avert their eyes, they couldn't avoid it. The stranger who had haunted and hunted them was also everywhere, including one day when they'd happened to walk into the remains of Ward's theater. "We already failed! What more do you want with us?" He was just stood there silent, always watching and waiting. For what? They had no idea. In the remains of the theater where this all started, however, he seemed to flicker in and out, as if in and out of existence. Mandy and Jacqueline did a double take at that. This whole thing started with a play that, as far as anyone knew, only had 2 acts. Did it have a 3rd act? Could the world be redeemed? Neither Mandy nor Jacqueline had any idea of the answer to either question, but they knew 2 things. If they could save their world, they had to try, and they would have to work from within Carcosa. Our first 2 investigators will be the former Girls of the Fall, Mandy Thompson and Jacqueline Fine. The last time we saw them on the channel, they were ruminating their failure in Dim Carcosa in the aftermath of the fall campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game. Hopefully they can redeem themselves during Christmas in Arkham. With that, let's go meet our next investigator. Jim Culver put his trumpet down after playing in the graveyard. As usual, the skeletons were dancing along with him. He sighed as he looked around. The remnants of Arkham were still around him. He'd heard of the King in Yellow, but he never expected this kind of havoc around the city. Nothing about this world was stable, though. Looking up at the sky and twin suns overhead, he noticed a weird flicker. Seems my work isn't done here. Jim grabbed his trumpet and went to investigate further. Joining the team for this year's Christmas in Arkham is Jim Culver. This will be his debut appearance on the channel. With that, let's go meet our last investigator. Mr. Morgan, I assure you I am not to be trifled with. A slight air of threat hung in Carl Sanford's words, but Tony Morgan wasn't intimidated. After all, the worst thing that could have happened to the world already had. Ever since Mandy and Jacqueline failed to stop the merger of their world with Lost Carcosa, the Silver Twilight Lodge had been powerless to do much in what used to be Arkham. Tony tightened the grip on his pistol. "You worked tirelessly for this for years," Tony responded. Just then, a strange being made his presence felt. Tony was distracted just enough to loosen his grip on Sanford, and Carl slipped away. Muttering in frustration, Tony went after the stranger. The stranger led him through the streets of Lost Carcosa toward Ward's theater, where he just stood and stared. He flickered in and out of existence, however. Tony noticed this and knew they would only get 1 chance to save their world. He tightened his grip on his pistol and set off. I don't think he starts any of the Christmas in Arkham games with a pistol, but our last investigator for this year's Christmas in Arkham is Tony Morgan. With that, let's go meet our Ancient One. You know our opponent if you did at least one of 2 things. If you were listening very early in the video when we were meeting our first 2 investigators, or if you watched the entire Fate of the Elder Gods tournament, or at least the winners group. You know we'll be taking on Hastur after he won the Fate of the Elder Gods tournament last week. We'll have some Carcosa flavor to the campaign, obviously, such as our first time using the Dunwich expansion when we get into Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, because that offers us the other world of Lost Carcosa. Anyway, that musing aside, let's wrap this video up. Busy month coming up on the channel. As for the immediate future videos, later this afternoon I expect to be headed back to Guadalcanal with Mag 23 Guadalcanal. Saturday we'll start Mystical Munchies with the Final Fantasy XIV Ultimate Cookbook with the appetizer, Crab Cook Croquette. And Sunday we'll start Christmas in Arkham proper with the first leg of the campaign as we play Eldritch Horror. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.